Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Pause Window Cleaning, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about 3 different myths that I have encountered in my 8-year journey of doing window cleaning, and at the very end I'm going to have a bonus one for you guys, so stay tuned for that at the very end. But the first one that I want to talk to you guys about of window cleaning myths is drying windows with newspaper. Now, you know, you might think to yourself, who's going to be doing drying windows with newspaper, right? Well, apparently back in the day, a lot of people were doing that because it's made out of paper. They would say, hey, I'm going to go there, I'm going to dry your windows with newspaper. That is a huge red flag. I would strongly recommend no one should be cleaning and drying windows with newspaper. The reason for that, you have a couple of factors. You can definitely scratch the window from the newspaper, but also you can leave smudges and leave particles behind, especially when you are drying something, because then the newspaper will start to dissolve. So all in all, to solve that problem, the best way to respond to someone that is a homeowner is to let them know that you use professional towels that will dry the windows. Most importantly, you do mop and squeegee, but afterwards you want to use a microfiber towel, and then from there you will be able to leave streak-free windows. And also too, if you do use microfiber, I would strongly suggest just to put all your microfibers that are at the end of the job that are dirty into the washer and just use it with just hot water. That's it. You don't need to use any soap or anything like that. You're probably going to already have soap onto the towels from all the detailing that you're going to use, you know, for your towels for on the windows. So just keep that in mind. But yet that is a myth. We do not use newspapers to dry windows. So that's the thing that you want to keep in mind, so that obviously the homeowner will know that we don't do that kind of thing. Now let's talk about that second myth in window cleaning. Now the second myth is that rain makes windows dirty. Now, why do I say that that's a myth? Now, some people might think, oh, when it rains, it's going to leave water spots, it's going to leave a mess on my windows, so I don't want to have my windows clean right now. I'm going to wait until after the storm. Fair enough. But the thing is that in reality, rain is kind of pure water. So pure water means that there's nothing in the water, so that even when the rain hits the glass itself, it's not going to leave any spotting. Now, the spotting comes from soft or hard water. Now, why do I say soft or hard water? Now, that all comes from man-made pipes, the filtration systems and all that leads to hard water. Now here in Southern California, we have a lot of hard water. You might live like in the mountains or something that has less hard water. You have soft water, but that stuff that's in the water system, that is not bad, but it's just, it will leave that like residue behind, and you can even leave hard water spots on the window. So when it comes to rain itself, like I mentioned before, it's all pure water. Even if you clean the window and the next day it rains, it's still going to look pretty good. Now, I don't do this. I know a lot of people do this, but they have a 7-day rain guarantee because not everyone has, you know, sunny weather all year. They might have like a storm come by here and there. So keeping that in mind, they want to keep the customer happy because, yeah, if there's dirty windows, then they're going to have to come back and clean it up. Now, if you think about that, if they do a whole week's worth of work and then a rainstorm comes in, that means they have to go back to every single house to clean up, right? But if they're so confident in that, that probably means that no one calls them back, because the windows, even though it's already had a rainstorm and it was clean prior to that, no one's going to be calling because the windows are still clean. When you clean a window, you clean the frame and the window itself on the outside, right? That's why I think WaterFed is the best tool to use for the outside. But again, traditionally does do the job too. A little bit more work, but at the same time, if you clean the frame and the window, everything should look good, because even with the rain hitting pure water onto the window, there's nothing on the window, it should look good. So now we just debunked rain in general, making your windows dirty. It's debunked, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually clean my windows myself every 6 months, and I use the WaterFed on the outside of my place, and every time I do that, it still looks good every 6 months. So I can even say from my own personal experience that even when it does rain here, it still looks good afterwards. So just want to say that that myth is debunked. So now let's move on to the third and final, before the bonus, myth that we're going to talk about in today's video. And that is vinegar being best solution when it comes to cleaning windows on the inside. I don't even know how many times I've gone to someone's house and they're saying, oh, are you using vinegar? Vinegar works great. It does. it doesn't do exactly what it needs to do. It works to a certain degree and it does clean, don't get me wrong, but you need something a little bit more tougher onto the windows because you're trying to take away the grime, the buildup, and all that on the window itself. So that's why I always recommend to the householder, I said, or homeowner, I say, hey, you know, and let me see your sink really quick. You see this solution right here? This dish soap is the best for you. And now everyone has their own dish soap and all this other solutions. I like Miss Meyer's, people use Dawn, but all the dish soaps pretty much work pretty much the same, right? I mean, again, it's everyone's preference, but just using a simple dish soap is the best way to clean windows, in my opinion, when it comes to building up taking away that buildup, that grime, because what it does is that if you think about it, when you're using dish soap, what is it trying to do? You're pretty much cleaning all your plates and all that are all glass, right? What is it trying to do? It's trying to remove all that buildup, your food and everything, so that's why it's called dish soap. So that same principle of cleaning the plates and all that with that solution, you're pretty much cleaning glass from your plate, glass on the window. So it makes it a little bit easier. Now, of course, if there's like paint and something like that, you might want to use steel wool and all that. But at the same time, that dish soap is what helps you to remove the grime, makes it a little bit easier on you. So vinegar, yes, it can clean, but it's not the best solution. That's why dish soap, and maybe if you want to get a little bit better, like in a sense, like if you want to use like high slide or glass gleam, if you want to use some of those things that are better for, like, let's say the sun, or want to get that little bit better grade of cleaning from the window, you can also use that too. But pretty much dish soap is good to go. Vinegar is not the best, dish soap is, and that is the debunked, I guess, for the myth number 3. Now, let's talk about the bonus one. What is the bonus one? Is that razor scratches glass. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because even myself, when I first started doing window cleaning, I tried my best to get away from using a razor on a window because they say, you know, if you don't do it correctly, you're gonna scratch a window. And I'm not even joking, using a razor when used properly and the great techniques and everything like that will make your life so much easier. Now, why do I say that? Is because I've used razors now for a couple of years, and I don't do construction cleans, but if it's just to be like to take off some paint or something like that, I remember when I first started, it was such a difficult time for me because I didn't want to use a razor. I was afraid of scratching. So what I would do, I remember there was one glass window that had like a massive overspray on it. I got steel wool. I said, okay, 4 zeros, right? A quad steel wool. And I would go over the window, and it took me like forever to take off all of this paint from this window because I didn't want to use a razor. Now that I know how to use a razor properly, and now I have the training to use a razor properly, it just makes things so much easier. Now, that window that took me, I'm not even joking, like half an hour to do that one window, and also too, I kind of did it for free, which was crazy for me to do back in the day, but I kind of did it for free. Now, when I use a razor, now it's so much easier because you want to use a new blade every single time. Even if it was like, oh, I just used a blade the previous day, it's always best to just use a new blade. Always is sharp, it's ready to go. You do not want to scratch a window. You don't want to place a claim on your insurance. It's not worth it. So, and the blades are not that expensive either. But when you use the right techniques and you want to make sure that you use it properly, it makes your life so much easier. You go, even my wife in the beginning, you know, she was even using the steel wool, and then when she was properly trained to use the razor, now it's easier for her to say, okay, I could just do it really quick, one swipe, new blade, boom, 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 done deal, move on. But at the same time, that's why practice also works too. But at the end of the day, razors do not scratch windows when used properly. But there is a little disclaimer. Tempered glass can scratch a razor can scratch tempered glass. Now, why do I say that? Tempered glass pretty much is like very, very good material, let's just put it that way. But at the same time, it's also very like easier to scratch than normal glass. Now, what can you do to prevent that? Oh, and also tint. Don't use tint. If you use a razor on a tinted window, you're going to scratch that up. So don't even bother to use a razor on tinted windows. But anyways, tempered glass, you want to be very careful. The best way to make sure that, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes to tell if it's tempered glass or not, but just kind of go very smoothly, right? Do your proper techniques, like put water, solution, and all that, and just kind of go very slowly with the razor, very slowly. If you start hearing like a sandpaper, stop. Don't even bother, and just let the homeowner know, hey, I can't do this with a razor because there's a high possibility that I'm going to scratch. But once you see like the house and you kind of get an idea of it, like, oh, okay, these are, you know, I don't feel like they're tempered glass, you kind of go and it sounds good. Remember, not even if the whole house is one style window, there's always a chance that they got a new one that could be tempered. I don't know, people, you know, some people have it a certain way, even if it's not their fault or their own. Just always be prepared. But if you do have the right circumstances and everything works out perfectly for you, especially if you're doing construction cleans, I highly recommend using a razor every single time, because if not, you're going to be at a house forever and it's just going to be the worst and the results might not be the best. But anyways, razors do not scratch glass when used properly with a new blade. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about these 3 different myths and the bonus of the razor. And yeah, I mean, if you guys like this type of content, let me know in the description down below in the comments. I'm trying to get, like, you know, new ideas for you guys. And so I know that those 3 things I get questioned a lot when I go to someone's home, out of the many questions, but these are like kind of the ones that are kind of like myths, you know. So I just kind of want to make this video for you guys, and most importantly, you know, hopefully this helps you out when you go to someone's home, and you can be able to give them a better professional response and the confidence. You know, you want to have that confidence, and because they do really rely on you, because you're the professional, they see you. And so if you go there and you're kind of like not sure what you're saying, they're not gonna like really trust you. But if you're confident, hey, Vinegar is not the best for your windows, it's dish soap. If you like the rainwater, we have a 7-day rain guarantee. That's another thing you can do. Or as like I said in the first one, that newspaper is not the best for clean glass. You know, it's better just use a regular mop and squeegee with a detailing towel. So all in all, those are the 3 myths and the bonus one that I want to bring out with you guys. And so if you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.